Ladies and gentlemen, can I have your attention, please? We'd like to start today's program. If you could please have a seat if you haven't found one already. Again, a reminder, there are overflow areas inside the arena with televisions. I would say there's more standing room only, but I don't think there is. So this is a tremendous crowd. We greatly appreciate you being here. I'm Sean Johnson. I'm a director of athletics here at the University of Jamestown. And I'm going to say I'm one of the luckiest people in the building because this is only my third year here. So it's a beautiful day, perfect day for what we're going to do today. You know, this, like I said, this is my third year here, but this is a generational dream coming true. I just heard a story where someone was talking about in the 1961 yearbook where there was an interview saying, we need a new gym. That was in 1961. Ironically, that was the year I was born, so you know how long ago that's been just by looking at me. So I'm going to keep my remarks very brief. It's a pleasure to represent the over 530 student athletes that are in our program, all of our coaches, our staff that do such an amazing job every single day. The one thing I want to pass along to you that the impacts of this project are not felt just on game day or on a day like today. They're felt every single day. When we're recruiting, when we have our new athletic training center that we use every single day, every single student athlete uses that facility. And it'll impact every single student because of what it's going to do for our culture here on campus. When we have a home event in the Harold Newman Arena, and we can just walk over and walk right in and sit right down in our house. It's very exciting, so we're very appreciative. And the last thing I want to say is, I can't tell you how much I appreciate all the donors that are here today, the administration, the board of trustees, all the planning that went into this, all the dreams that are coming true today. And the last group I really want to thank is not the present student athletes or the present coaches, because we're going to get to use this right now, but all the former coaches and all the former student athletes and all the former board of trustees and all the former members of cabinet. It's because of what you have done before us that we're able to do this. If we didn't have the success that we've been having all these years, all these decades, this wouldn't be happening. It's not about myself, the current student athletes, the current staff. It's really about you. That's the legacy that you have. You are part of this building. You are part of this great legacy, and I thank you for that. It's now my pleasure to introduce my boss, a guy I'm thrilled to have worked with for over two, now on my third year, the president of the University of Jamestown, Dr. Robert Badal.
Thank you, Sean. Well, welcome to all of you. The Board of Trustees of the University of Jamestown, the faculty, the staff, the alumni, the donors who are here. The Newman family is with us. We're so delighted that they could be with us today on this special occasion. Denny Ginger is with us as well. It's an amazing day in the life of the University of Jamestown. Would all the alumni who are here please stand? Just get out of your seats here. Thank you all. Thank you all for coming back. It's so good to have you here. If it weren't for you, we would not be here in this celebration today. And the same is true for our great students. Students, many of you are already standing. I know some are out in the arena. Let's wave to everyone, if you would. It's great to have you here too today. Thank you. This is a dedication of the largest building project in the history of the University of Jamestown. We have dedicated many buildings. Most have been academic in nature as we have tried to improve this campus. It was finally time, as Sean said, to do an arena, and we're just so pleased that we are all gathered here for this purpose of dedication. Whether you're a student who will compete here, a fan who will cheer the Jimmies on, or a donor who helped to make this space a reality, we are both grateful and truly amazed that after such a long wait in planning and thinking and talking about a new arena, we now have this incredible space known far and wide as the Harold Newman Arena. Let's cheer for the Harold Newman Arena. All right, fantastic. Woo! When we were initiating the planning for this space, we asked 3 different architectural firms to compete for the concept and to show us something that, in my words, when I spoke to each of them, we don't want another box on the prairie. I think I repeated it 3 times so they would get the point. And we told them to go back and rethink their concepts. And I'm so pleased that Icon Architects, they answered the bell literally with the Victory Bell Tower and with this wonderful facade that is so visually reminiscent of the front facade of the Ryland Auditorium, of the Fine Arts facility here on campus. That made it a unique University of Jamestown building, and we're so grateful to Mike and his staff for that wonderful design. And today, we will ring the victory bell for the first time, because this is a victory. We have a brand new campus entrance now from the east, one that never really existed unless you were a local and you knew your way around town, and you happened to stumble onto this entry to the back side of the campus. And what is wonderful about it is that the symbols of this building tie together so beautifully with the symbols on the west side of campus at the main gates. So people can come and go and feel instant identification with the whole campus. This is a project that connects and fulfills the vision of the physical campus that was begun by President Cruzy when he first arrived here in 1909. We now have the whole package, and it is beautiful. Words fall short of the mark when I think about how to thank the Newman family for starting the momentum for this project. And it was quickly followed by so many of you who are here today to make it a reality. And we're just thrilled. I had no idea that it was that easy to raise $15.5 million. Or we would have done this a long time ago. But it's only because someone has to start the ball rolling. That's been the history of every building project since I've been at UJ. Someone has to make that first step of faith, and that was the Newmans. We have been building character on this campus since 1883. That continuing commitment to the development of the whole person, our faith that we carry with us, and our commitment to lifelong learning constitute the journey, which we call the journey to success, that leads us to think about the meaning and the importance of this dedication today. Thank you all for your role in supporting this university, and welcome to the Harold Newman Arena. Thank you.
Thank you, President Badal. Up next is North Dakota native, University of Jamestown, I should say, Jamestown College graduate, and our women's basketball coach, Greg Euland.
Apologize for my voice. I'm just starting to get it back. We started practice a couple weeks ago, so you can about imagine. I'll tell you what, the feeling of pulling up to the office in the parking lot and just being able to see this place, I'm getting goosebumps right now thinking of it. It just, whether it's Monday, Friday, good morning with my two daughters, or a bad morning with my daughters, it warms you up. I mean, this is absolutely a tremendous place. It's a beautiful place, and it makes coming to work real easy. Not that it's hard to come to work for my boss and all the people around, but it just makes it that much in. So I got to pinch myself every morning to make sure. So if you see red dots on my arms, that's the why. I asked the girls on my team, I said, give me one word to describe this place. I got amazing, perfect, shiny, remarkable, super duper. She did use a hyphen, so technically it was one word, she said. Astonishing, stunning, spectacular, legit, and homey. Homey was the one that was used quite a bit. It gave us that home feeling. That's the best way that I can describe it to you guys in my mind. It relates to how it came about. This is about people who care about the university, people who care about the school, people who care about the future, care about the programs, and it's about giving back. This here is a family. I talk to my team all the time about being part of the Jimmy family. They are able to look around now and see that this is a lot bigger than what you can about imagine. The generous contributions from everyone has made this place a home to us, and home is where the family is at. And to us, to be able to have a locker room, I was on some tours and I told them that now we finally have a place to call home, so they understand it. And we're going to put history up there. We're going to put previous teams and things like that, so they understand and know that this thing just didn't happen overnight. This is something that's been built upon for years and years, and the tradition behind all of it. These kids don't quite understand what it means to be a Jimmy. You guys do. You guys have lived it, you've been through it, and now you're able to look back at it and understand what a Jimmy is and what the Jimmy family is all about. This here is a perfect example of what it's like to be a Jimmy. Playing-wise, I want to touch on that a little bit. I have no clue what it's going to be like in games, what it's going to be like in games here. It's 2,000 people, standing room only, the whole concourse all filled, our band playing, there'll be a timeout. We'll be drawing up hopefully a perfect play, maybe an alley-oop to beat some school up there, so over there somewhere for a conference title. And then at the end of the night, we're going to ring the bell. But I honestly have not thought about that at all, what it's going to be like to play in here. So the last thing I'm going to touch on a little bit is recruiting. This is an absolute game changer for us in our program. You talk about the wow factor, the 100% wow factor. We get kids that come in and sit down and see it, and they're just like, wow. And I'm like, well, make sure you come back to a game. We're going to have this place packed. The roof's going to be getting knocked off. We're going to have a great time in here. I want them to be able to come and understand it. So we're getting into houses that we have not been into before. The campus itself is amazing, beautiful. This has now set us apart from everybody that we're recruiting against. We're going to do our part to put the best product we can on the floor and represent the Jimmy family the way that it's supposed to be. We're very excited to get rolling in here. We do have a couple weeks till the first game, but the kids are overwhelmed with excitement, and they're ready to come in here and play for real. I just want to thank everybody for all your generous donations and making this place that we can call home. Thank you very much.
Greg, I know you thought you were going to get away with that. I guess it's still it's a little better having to see your face every day now that your office is over here too. So okay. No, but seriously, Greg does a tremendous job, obviously. Next up is our men's basketball coach. He's starting his 3rd season as the head coach. He's done a terrific job. I'm really looking forward to this year. I know he is too. Our men's basketball coach, Danny Neville.
Like Sean said, my name is Danny Neville. I'm the head men's basketball coach here. Before I start, I just wanted to mention I had a really great speech with some really funny jokes, and my wife crumpled that up and threw it away. And then I had a really, really great retro suit, which was donated by Bob Richardson, and that was denied as well. Sorry, Bob. So here I am with a brand new suit. And a normal speech, so bear with me here. I just want to start by thanking everyone involved in the process of the Harold Newman Arena. There was so much time and effort put in by everyone to make this happen. The amount of help and generous donors are a true testament of how special this place really is, and I'm truly appreciative of what you've done. When I started to wrap my mind around being the first head men's basketball coach to actually play in this arena, I thought of all the coaches and players that went before my time and how these people set the bar high. Yeah, none of this would have been possible without coaches like Coach Dennis Ginger, Coach Brad Hughes, Coach E.J. Castle, Coach Byron Hill, and the countless players and teams that have been successful here at Jamestown. I know how much this arena means to you guys and how proud you are of this facility. Excitement is not a word I use for this arena, for the Harold Newman Arena. It's incredible. It's incredible for our athletes, alums, fans, administration, and the community. I also look at it from the perspective of a head coach who gets to bring his team and compete in one of the finest arenas around. I walk in this building every morning, and I tell myself how lucky I am to be here. And I don't think that will ever change. For our coaching staff, we tell our players in the recruiting process that by joining the University of Jamestown, they will be a part of excellence, and they will get to experience excellence in every way. The Harold Newman Arena is just another symbol of that. This past week, I talked to one of our top 2018 recruits, and he told me, I believe in the University of Jamestown, your coaching staff, the players, your vision for this program, and I want to be a part of this program. And he finished with, the Harold Newman Arena is just icing on the cake. My staff and our players feel incredibly blessed. To be able to play and compete in this building is just a dream come true. And again, like I said before, every morning I walk in this arena, I'm like, man, this is awesome. And again, I don't think that will ever change. I'm so happy this day arrived. We can share the building, again, with all the alums and the community. This arena is going to be special, and can't wait for our first game here at the Harold Newman Arena. That'll be October 13th. We also have 18 home games this year, and that was something that I tried doing really hard, and we're going to ring that bell hopefully 18 times. So, and again, I don't know how many thank yous I've said today. Ran into some people last night, this morning, gave a couple tours. It's just so exciting. This is unbelievable. So thank you very much for your time. Hope to see you again. I know a lot of sports are playing this weekend. I don't want to leave anybody out, but we have a game tonight at 4 p.m. here. Come check out our current team. We're going to be playing. There's not a lot of young guys, so we're going to run up and down the floor for you old guys. So again, thank you for the leadership of Jamestown and everyone involved with Harold Newman Arena, and go Jimmies.
Before I introduce our next speaker, just two things. You know, people ask me about our arena, and they want to know what I think about it, and I tell them, we don't have the biggest arena in North Dakota, but we have the best arena in North Dakota. That's what we've got right here in the Harold Newman Arena. There's a lot of passion and energy in this room, and I want to remind you that at 7 o'clock tonight, and our next speaker is going to touch on this, we have a very important, not just because it's the first, but a very important home volleyball match in here at 7 o'clock tonight. We're nationally ranked. They're nationally ranked. They're undefeated in the conference. We only have one loss to the number 2 team in the country. So this is a big match in here at 7 o'clock tonight, and I expect to see every one of you here. I'm going to be checking your names off the list when you walk in. Big volleyball match tonight. Biggest crowd in volleyball history. I'd like to see that tonight. It's going to be a great time. So to talk about that, and what this arena means to his program is our very successful women's volleyball coach, John Hagerly.
Good afternoon. As Sean shared, I'm John Hagerly, and I have the privilege of being the head volleyball coach here at the University of Jamestown. Just like Greg, I haven't thought much about what it's going to be like to play in here. I'll start doing that about 5:30 this afternoon when we get to that point. No, we've thought a lot about it. I want to start just by echoing the gratitude and appreciation that's been extended by our speakers so far and our men and women's basketball coaches for this reality of the Harold Newman Arena. No doubt this facility will drastically change the way that we compete, the way that we recruit, and the experience of our student athletes, not just this year, but for many, many years to come. For 20 years, the Jimmy volleyball team has called the Hansen Center home. It was a great environment to play a college volleyball match. What we called intimate, our opponents called claustrophobic. And what we called energetic, our opponents called smothering. However we spin it, we did our best to make the Hansen Center our home, and it certainly provided an electric environment for some tremendous battles and victories over the years. But to quote the book of Ecclesiastes, to everything there is a season. It is time for a new season, a new era of Jimmy volleyball and basketball. 3 weeks ago, the Jimmy volleyball team held their first practice in the Harold Newman Arena. Savannah Cox, our graduate assistant coach, and her hobby is videotaping, videotaped the reaction of our players as they entered the arena for the first time, entered their new locker room, and had their first practice. I thought that was cool. I didn't realize, just because of who I am, that when she does videotape it, it goes out where a lot of people can see it. Since then, wherever I go, I hear regularly from coaches, alumni, parents, and recruits, "Hey, I saw the video of your team in the new arena. It looks unbelievable." And then some of the recruits, what we're hoping for, they say, "I would love to play there." I've always shared with prospective recruits and their parents that I feel very blessed to coach such outstanding young women and work with such wonderful coaches, staff, and faculty members here at the University of Jamestown. Now I can add training and competing in, as Mike at the Jamestown Sun coined, the jewel of the University of Jamestown, to my list of blessings. The strength of our university has always been relationships, which this is a testament to that. I look out here, I see former Jimmies, I see current Jimmies, and I see a whole bunch of hopefully future Jimmies running around. In the past 3 weeks, I have 2 stories about how this has impacted those relationships. In the past 3 weeks, I've had more conversations with men and women basketball players than I probably have had in my 8 years combined, as we are always bumping into each other out here. And I don't know what Greg and Danny are complaining about. They're pretty cool kids. I know the same is true for our players as we get to share this community. We are already strengthening the culture of Jimmy athletics. Secondly, and I'm not sure if this is good or bad yet, I've had more conversations with Greg and Danny than ever before. In fact, Danny yesterday just brought a book into my office and said, "Have you read this?" And I said, "No, I haven't." He said, "You should read this." I said, "Well, thanks, Danny. I appreciate it." I said, "Are you interested in reading anything I have?" He said, "No." Greg and I have had some great recruiting conversations. Generally, it's about recruiting the same players, but in the same token, the connections that we're developing because we have offices next to each other and we're in a shared facility have already had impacts on the way that I do things and the way I coach. And hopefully they can say the same. The Harold Newman Arena is also a shining example that these relationships extend far beyond a student athlete's time on campus, but last a lifetime. In the words of Tom Hager, once a Jimmy, always a Jimmy. Again, I want to thank our administration, staff, alumni, and donors for the vision, elbow grease, and resources to make this jewel a reality for all of our past, current, and former Jimmies. Go Jimmies. By the way, there's a volleyball game at 7 tonight.
We talked about how this facility impacts us every day, and Coach Neville, as he said, my time was running out. I couldn't mention this, so I asked him if he had mentioned this one story he mentioned to me that I wanted to pass along to you about what kind of impact this arena has on us every single day. Now, we love playing at the Civic Center, don't get me wrong. Great facility, great staff down there, appreciated being there. But the one thing that made it a little tough for us, think about this now. Our men's basketball team did not have their own game day locker room for almost 50 years. Now, we had a game day locker room at the Civic Center, but Monday through Thursday, we didn't. And same thing for women's basketball. Not for quite as long, but we'd have to dress in our car. You know, we'd have to do all kinds of things, dress in our residence halls, come over here, and it's crazy. But now we have one. And so what does that mean every single day? Well, as Coach Neville told me, it means we're more of a team. We're coming together. Why is that? Well, when we went to the Civic Center, we'd probably all be in our own cars because we don't carpool anymore. And we'd drive down to the Civic Center, we'd practice, and it'd be over with. We'd get our cars, we'd go our separate ways. Now what do? We walk in here, the Harold Newman Arena. We walk into our brand new locker room. We're all together. We come early and hang out together. Then we go practice. Then we come back off the floor. We go back in the locker room, and what do? We hang out together a little bit more. And then when we leave, what do? We don't all leave individually and go different places. No, we go do things together. So a small thing like that changes the culture of our basketball teams, of our athletic program, of our institution. So it's just another example of that. Now, this was pure coincidence. The two people that are going to speak next are student athletes. And when we decided the two student athletes that were going to represent our men's student athletes and our women's student athletes, we had no idea that 2 months later, after we decided who was going to be, they were also going to become the homecoming king and queen this year. That was pure coincidence. No ballot stuffing. Those rumors are not true. The other thing I want to say about these two, and we'll introduce them one at a time to come speak, is they really embody, in my mind, what a student athlete means at the University of Jamestown. Because they're students first. They're both excellent students. They're both great competitors, and they're both extremely tough. Both in their work ethic, what they do, overcoming the everyday bumps and bruises. In the case of one, a little bit more than everyday bumps and bruises. So I can't tell you how proud I am to have these two young people represent our student athletes. The first one I'd like to introduce from the class of 2018 for the women's basketball team is Bryn Woodside.
I'm a little short, so let's see if I can move this. Can everybody hear me okay? Wow. Before I start, this is really cool. I didn't picture this many people to be here when I saw the chairs set up earlier this week. A couple weeks ago, Coach Euland asked if I would come and speak on behalf of the student athletes. And he asked me to talk about what the Harold Newman Arena meant to us and what it meant to have it here on campus. Well, the first thing that came to my mind was actually pretty simple. It means a lot. But saying it means a lot is pretty general, and it probably wouldn't take up 3 minutes of time. So with that being said, the Harold Newman Arena is a prime example of what it means to be a part of the University of Jamestown. Just to give you a little background on myself, When I was on my recruiting visit here at the university, the one thing that held me back from coming right away was that it was too small. I always wanted to experience a big college. But once I decided that the pros outweighed the cons, I committed here to the university. And not to talk about me for very long, but my point is that this university is about community and supporting each other. And I really never would have felt that at a big school. The relationships that us athletes develop with our fans are second to none. For example, this summer I was privileged enough to sit down and have lunch with Claire and Marcella Baker. They gave me 2 years' worth of newspaper articles that they had been collecting. And even yesterday, actually, Claire called me and said, "Hey, I saw you in the newspaper. I got the article for you." Aside from that, people randomly approach us athletes in the grocery stores saying how excited they are to watch us play in the Harold Newman Arena. And those are just a few things that make the community base here so strong. Not only the student athletes, but the whole student body is benefiting from the Harold Newman Arena. For the ones privileged enough to play basketball or volleyball, we will get to experience a packed house, looking up in the stands, and seeing everyone in orange and black cheering us on. For those students who just love to support Jimmy athletics, it'll be a short walk across campus, even in the cold winters. I truly believe this place will bring the highest morale there has ever been. The Harold Newman Arena will continue to grow and develop relationships among student athletes and our supporters. I am so grateful that I have the opportunity to play in the Harold Newman Arena. But with that being said, I'm more excited for the future of this university. Having the Harold Newman Arena will be such an asset to recruitment, and I'm excited for all of the future students to have this experience all 4 years of their college career. I know that the university will only continue to prosper from the Harold Newman Arena, and I can't say this yet, but I'm going to be one proud alumni. And lastly, thank you, and thank you again to every single person who was involved in the development of the Harold Newman Arena. This one is going to be a year to remember. And I can only hope that one day I can give back like you guys. Thanks again, and go Jimmies.
You got a tough act to follow there. But he'll do well. Our next guest is a young man who's overcome a lot of tough injuries on the court and really has bounced back. He's an incredible part, not only of our men's basketball program, but our athletic department, and he has a really good last name, too. I'd like to introduce from the class of 2018, senior men's basketball player, Sam Johnson.
Good afternoon to all of you Jimmies. This is so wonderful. I can't even imagine what it's going to be like in 40 years to sit in your seats. When Coach Neville asked if I would speak at this event, I instinctively said, of course. But then I thought to myself, wait, I have no idea what I'm even supposed to be saying. So I texted him that same night and asked, what's this speech about? And he said back, quote, what the arena means to you, period. So I pondered for a few days, thinking about my initial experience when I walked into the Harold Newman Arena. I remember thinking to myself simply, wow. So I looked up the definition of wow. And the definition said this, number 1, expressing astonishment or admiration. And the second definition said, a sensational success. And yes, the Harold Newman Arena is a sensational success. But more importantly, I want to express my admiration to the many donors who made this a sensational success. I put together a short list of what the Harold Newman Arena will give or has already given to the students, teams, recruits, and community. Number 1, the best home court advantage possible. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the Civic Center, but sometimes it felt a little empty. This arena is the perfect size for our university, and I can't wait to get this place rocking. Number 2, permanent locker rooms. I'll never forget when I came on my visit and I was told I didn't have a locker room to store my raunchy shoes, so I had to deal with that smell in my dorm room. These locker rooms are more than I could have ever imagined as a college athlete, and it's a total game changer. Number 3, a consistent practice facility. Having everything on campus makes life for everyone that much easier. We used to go from our rooms to the Hanson for before practice treatment, then to the Civic for practice, and then back to the Hanson to get ice. Students can save time now that everything is right here. Number 4, a huge recruiting tool. Raise your hand if you wouldn't want to play in here. I mean, seriously. I don't know how anybody can turn down an offer to play college athletics, get a wonderful education, and continue their life as a Jimmy. Lastly, number 5, a booster club meeting room. Even though we're the ones playing the sports wouldn't happen without all of the work our booster club members do. Let's give them a short round of applause. Finally, I was fortunate enough to live here this summer and to see the progress of the Harold Newman Arena. And I can't even put into words what it means to play the first men's basketball game in this arena. Let's all get to the volleyball game tonight and show Bellevue that we do have the best home court advantage. Also, we hope to see you here as we continue our season and the great tradition the Jimmy men's basketball program has. People might make fun of us and ask, what's a Jimmy? They're going to know exactly what a Jimmy is when they step on this floor. Thank you.
One thing I'd like to do before we continue, I've seen what has gone on in this building the last few days, getting everything ready for this event, and I just want to publicly thank our physical plant staff, institutional advancement, and public relations staff. They did an unbelievable job. How about a round of applause for them? Before I introduce my next guest, I'd like to recognize all current and former members of the University of Jamestown Board of Trustees. Will you please stand and be recognized? I haven't seen this many Board of Trustees since we had our meeting in Phoenix. That's usually pretty popular. The next person I'd like to introduce is another one of my bosses. It's an absolute pleasure to work with her. And I'm proud to say this first part of her title, Doctor. I know how hard she worked for it. Up next is our Executive Vice President, Dr. Polly Peterson.
Thank you very much. I want to thank all of you for being here today. I've had a day today where I've managed to get through this and not be emotional, but listening to the coaches and Sam and Bryn talk about what this building means to you is why we did what we did and why we do what we do. We say here that we are a school who has been building character since 1883. We say here that we're a school whose mission is to develop wholeness in our students, and to watch that play out right in front of your eyes, I'm just so proud of you. Many of you have heard me say over the last few years, especially if I've been to visit you and ask you if you'd participate in this project, that we've been looking at athletic facilities since probably the beginning of time. 70s, we saw renderings. 80s, we saw renderings. The 90s, we saw renderings and beyond. But you know, when you look back, we didn't build one in the 70s or the 80s or the 90s. Our mission here is to make sure that the academic experience for our students is wonderful and great. And so what we had to do was align those priorities first with the academic needs of our students. And so you saw academic buildings go up. You saw new programs happening. You saw their residence halls get renovated, some new ones built. All of those things aligned with our priorities. So consequently, the arena renderings were pristinely tucked away for another day. My dear friends, the Harold Newman family, today is finally here. Thank you for making this possible for our students to have the whole person experience through this building. This building, as you've just heard, is a game changer for our university. There is nothing like it in the Midwest. I know that for sure. We're a basketball family. I think I've been in every facility in the Midwest. There is nothing like this. There are so many people to thank for the involvement in making this project possible. As you heard Bob say, prior to constructing this facility, we put together a task force that included people like Bob Piatz. Carrie, you joined us. Krisha Wiest, a former athlete. Mark Wolf, Tom Heck, Sean Johnson, Bob, and myself. And we began to tour a lot of facilities. And we asked them, what did you do right? And what would you do differently? And we took every piece of advice when we put this together. And I can look now at this and I can say with confidence, we got it right. And to quote one of the alumni last night at the social, Kate Jenkins, it was worth the wait. It is incredible. I don't know what Bob was saying a little bit ago when he said raising $15 million was easy. But I do remember this. I do remember when we were there with you, the Newman family. I think it was Leo and Sheldon who looked us in the face and said, so if we do this, will you get it done? And the people that were in that room, 2 board members were in that room, Ed Nafis and Dick Hall, looked you in the eye and we said, yes, we will get it done. A former president of the University of Jamestown, Dr. Barron Cruzy, once said this: people who want to see their community grow just do not stop to buttress their vision with realism or judgment. And that has been the motivating driver behind this university since the beginning of time. We defy the odds. What seems to be realistic doesn't enter our minds. We're going to get it done, and we did. So right now, I want to begin by thanking the Newman family. You have done so much for this school in so many ways that you will never understand. Your father was an amazing man, and he served this university well. He did many, many things for this school for many, many years, and we are truly, truly grateful that you chose us as a way to honor his legacy. So thank you for that. At this point, at this time, I would like to welcome Carrie Ness to the stage, and her brother, Russ, and they're all coming. So Ruth and Cheryl and Nancy and Russ and Carrie, please come to the stage so we can honor and recognize you.
Thank you. That was very nice of you all. On behalf of my brother Russ, sisters Nancy, Ruth, and Cheryl, and our very special, it's a little tall for me, but yeah, it's okay. Our very special mother, Mary Newman, I'd like to congratulate and commend the many people who love this school. Now, love it's a strong word, but I've learned it's so true. There are so many people that love this school. I've watched this process over the last couple of years and learned that love and commitment, sense of belonging, and sense of duty can drive amazing work. Harold Newman Arena is a beautiful building, and we feel honored and privileged to have been a part of it. Dad would have enjoyed this arena so much. He would have loved this. He would have loved, I don't know where Tom Heck is, but he would have been on Tom Heck for the last 2 years. He would have been, and everybody, all the builders. I mean, he would have so enjoyed his daily trip up here to suggest how things should be done. But I know you all did a fine job without his input, and we're very proud of the arena. Dad was a longtime supporter of Jamestown College, but when it came to this project, it was our mom who agreed to jump in and get things started. And up until this morning, we thought our mom would be with us. So if she's watching online right now, and so if you don't mind, the 5 of us are going to wave at her. You see the camera there? Yeah. Hi, Mom. Mom has, like I said, Mom was the one who Dad was gone when the decision was made, and Mom was the one who agreed to jump in and get this project started. She has always been a shining example to us, to her family, for how to share the gifts that God has given her. So Mom, thank you for teaching your family to share, and thank you today specifically for your generosity here at the University of Jamestown. I'm sure the question, who was Harold Newman, will be asked many times throughout the years, throughout the life of this arena. The answer is likely to be, oh, well, he made signs. He owned a business in this town. He was a sign guy. And that's true, but at least for now, today, the 5 of us can stand up here and look at faces of people that remember him as much more than that. We see a lot of familiar faces, and there's comfort and joy in that for us as his children. So please know that. Please know, too, that this is a big day for our family, a really big day. We're so happy for the University of Jamestown, and we're a little happy for ourselves, too. We have a place now that we can come and we can remember. We can remember our husband, our father, our grandfather, and our great-grandfather. So we're a blessed and happy family. Now you're gonna hear from my brother Russ.
I'm Russ Newman. I'm the only son and oldest child of Harold and Mary Newman. And before we get started, I'd just like to comment on the great lemonade. Whoever made this should be commended. Very good. Coach Hagerly used a word that hit home with me, and that was privilege. And without getting emotional, I am privileged to be Harold Newman's son. It's an honor. And what an honor to have a facility like this named after my father. He was a big sports fan. He took me to 150 or plus Twins games, at least 75, 80 Vikings games over the years, and tons of Jamestown Jimmy basketball games. If there was a game and he was in town, we were at the game in the old Hanson Center. And those years would have been the early 60s to early 70s. Dad and I saw some good players. We watched Coach Castle coach some of these guys, some names I remember in the old arena, and I was always fascinated by that old gymnasium because it had a wood floor, and I played the game, and we played on tile all the time, and I thought, gee, wood, what a special deal. And We watched players like Steve White, Carter Van Beek, Phil Cross, Dennis Ganger, and among others. But Dad and I had our favorite player. I'm sorry, Dennis, it wasn't you. But it was Charlie Sizer, and Dad would always say, "Look at him, watch him, see, look at him, how he moves without the ball. See, he rebounds, he leads the team in rebounds. He's a great shooter, he could stop on a dime, hit a jump shot, great ball handler. That's a complete ball player, Russ. You want to be like Charlie Sizer." Only problem was, I was 4 inches shorter, couldn't jump, and the other thing I couldn't do is grow a mustache like Charlie. But back to Dad. It was a privilege. It is a privilege being his son. He's a hard worker, as probably most people in this audience knew him as a hard worker. But he had a great sense of humor, too. He could flip the switch, or he could do both at the same time, work hard and have fun. And one example I'll give you is the late, great Jack Brown. He's in your Alumni Hall of Fame here at the University of Jamestown. And to me, he was the best official when I played on the court. And he had a sidekick named Bob King out of Valley City. Those guys worked in tandem all the time. Seemed like every Jimmy game I went to, there was Jack Brown and Bob King. And they were black and white striped unis. So we'd watch the game. Dad would take me home. He'd go to the Elks, and of course, King and Brown were there. And would hear Dad tell this story later. He'd go to the bar, get them each a drink because he knew what they liked. He'd bring it over to them, and he'd say, "Here, gentlemen." And he'd say, "You guys did it again. You're out of position every game." By now, you'd think you know how to referee. No, but I speak for my mother and my sisters that Dad would be enamored and he would love this arena. Thank you very much.
Just one second. Shirley Hoberg, if you're in the audience, could you meet your brother up here at the front here? Thank you. Now back to Polly.
Well, like I said, as we were challenged by the Newman family to get this project done, and we promised, at least Ed and Dick Hall promised that we would get this done on time. So the first persons that we went to when we began this capital campaign were Dennis Ginger and Jim and Modine McCullough. And both of them graciously supported this arena at a very substantial level. Today I'm going to ask Dennis Ginger to come forward and say a few words to you. Dennis grew up in Streator, North Dakota. He now resides in Southern California. He is a graduate of the University of Jamestown in the class of 1964, and not only did he play just about every sport there was to play, he was a letter winner 9 times, and he was a captain of his teams. He is an amazing man. He went on to coach. He coached at the University of North Dakota. He coached in Montana, and he even coached 3 years here, where he did a magnificent job. Dennis also worked for Converse, where he was a regional manager. And in 1984, Dennis was named the Salesman of the Year. Please join me in welcoming Dennis Ginger to the stage.
Thank you, Polly. You read that just as I wrote it. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And thank everyone for coming. Let me just begin by saying this. Harold Newman, I appreciate what you did. You were a great booster, a real example of how a booster is supposed to conduct himself. I know that you probably, over coffee, had some suggestions about my coaching, but they were never expressed directly to me. But I really appreciate you taking the lead in getting this beautiful building in progress. You know, dreams can come true. This is not a box. It was done perfectly, and for that, you know, it takes a great deal of courage and someone to pursue that dream, which Dr. Peterson and Dr. Badal provided for us, and the board, of course, under Jim Unruh, approved it. So for that, I am very appreciative. Now, how will it benefit all of us? Well, first of all, let's start with the student athletes. They are the most important consideration. Student athletes, and most of the UJ students nowadays are also involved in athletics. So for them, it's now a chance to practice their skills in a very gorgeous environment, very close to home. They no longer have to drive to the Civic Center. The Civic Center was fine, but it did not do what it really is supposed to do for a student athlete. So non-students can also, after class, come over here and take out the frustrations that may have occurred during the day by making a very uncomfortable place for opponents to play and for officials or referees to work their games. So I think that all of the students can be involved. For the coaches, I think they now have a real home court advantage, something that they did not have at the Civic Center. Playing in the Civic Center was like never having a home game. Now, we have a very close to our living quarters, a place where we can not only play but also practice. So that is a benefit to the students here at the Jamestown, University of Jamestown. For the coaches, they now have a home court advantage, and this should be significant. I can see this whole facility being filled with students who are, like I said, taking out their frustrations on the opponents of the Jimmies. For the community of Jamestown, I think this room that we're seated in, the McCullough Foyer, will be an excellent place for them to come for business meetings or for social activities. So I think that will also be a benefit. For the university has always been rated very high in most areas. Now they will be rated even higher among the universities of the upper Midwest. So any way you look at it, I think it's a win-win situation for everybody, for the university, the community, and other groups that I'm sure that I've missed that will also enjoy coming here for meetings or for whatever activities they have planned. So for that, I thank you. And for those reasons, that's why I am proud to say that I am a Jimmy and will be a Jimmy for life. Thank you.
Well, as you've heard many times, one of the goals and objectives of this, of the early planning of this, was to make sure that it was not a box on the prairie. And when we went through the process of selecting an architect, Icon, the architect that we ended up choosing, was brilliant in recognizing that the cornerstone of this university is the chapel. And they brought the chapel into this project as the cornerstone of this project. As you've heard many times, the University of Jamestown is about developing wholeness. And I think there's nothing more representational of that than the chapel and the chapel bell. So once we had agreed that that was going to become the plan, I think maybe what happened was Jim Unruh and Candy Unruh, who probably were thinking that in our capital campaign, the athletic facility may not be their first choice. There were a lot of great ideas in the capital campaign, but we are so grateful to you that you thought enough about this project and the chapel, bringing the bell tower over to this facility, and the graciousness that you gave when you gave that gift. So at this time, I'm going to ask Jim to come forward and say a few words. Jim is our chairman of the board. Thank you.
First of all, as chairman of the board, I want to add my thanks on behalf of the board to all of you that have played a part in bringing this to reality. You know, my first experience was a failure relative to this arena, because Marv Seibold and I took a nice rendering of an arena to Harold and failed to close the sale. But eventually we got it done, right? It's been really a pleasure to be a part of this. I think back to when I first came here I don't want to say it too loud. A long time ago, that what I found then as a student is true today, and that is the terrific job the University of Jamestown does in preparing its students for life. Not just for a vocation, but for life. And it is here today. While I was a student, I was exposed to the things we care about: critical thinking, the ability to think through a problem and know how to get to a solution and get things done, forming leadership qualities. These attributes are inherent today on our campus, throughout our campus, beginning with the leadership of our president, Bob Bedell, and the faculty and the staff which are dedicated to that purpose. As I walk around today's campus, I am awed by the progress that has been accomplished in the last several years. New buildings, the arts, business, computer science, nursing simulation, labs, wellness and fitness equipment and facilities, all better serving the students. But I think I've missed something. New academic programs that are related to teaching degrees, physical therapy, math and science. I think I'm still missing something. New athletic programs that have been added. If you think there are any sports we don't have, you're probably in trouble, because we've got them all. Soccer, women's wrestling, ice hockey, and at the same time, the expanding diversity on our campus. But I would be remiss if I did not recognize that those upgrades have also been made to administrative buildings, to admissions center, dining hall, student housing. They're example of the changes that have elevated the status from that of a college to a university. But what was that significant missing element? Frankly, I have felt for a long time that a significant missing element in student life on this campus was this arena. And it is a joy to be a part of bringing that about. You know, when Bob said it was easy to raise the 15 million, he could have said the easiest close he made was visiting Candy and I. Because we'd already decided that I suppose partly because of our love of music, but partly our love of bringing the symbol of that chapel into this just caught our attention, caught our interest. And it was just a pleasure to become a part of making all of this happen. So I thank all of you again for the Board of Trustees, and I thank the board for getting behind this and really making it happen. It's been terrific. So go Jimmies.
Okay, on your program right now, there is, we have some special gifts for the donors. However, because we are running a little bit late, I've been told that we've got several people from the chamber who need to get back to work. So what we're gonna do right now is cut the ribbon, and then we'll come back and we'll recognize all the donors who gave to this facility. So if I can have the entire Newman family to come forward and line up with the chamber. And then I would like Modine and Jim, Dennis, Will Bernhagen, who is also a very substantial donor who helped make this facility possible. If Will could come forward. And then I need Jim Unruh as well. Jim and Tom Heck. All right, we will go cut the ribbon. All right, it's official. Let the games begin. Okay, so now, at this time, we're going to recognize and ask the donors who have given over $10,000 or more. We have a special gift for you. So they're bringing them out now. If you didn't get a chance to see them when you were walking around looking at the facility, Jim, will you hold one up? The gift that you're going to receive is actually an official replica of the floor. So included in there is the floor, the original boards from the floor. So we thought that might be one special way for you to remember Harold Newman, this arena, and all that has gone into making this possible for our student athletes. Thank you all very much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by asking the donors to come forward. If you can come around this way and around and stop over by the sign, we'd like to take your photo. So if there's more than one in your party, feel free to all come forward. And like I said, then we'll take the picture of the entire party. Okay, there are some people in the room or on that were significant donors that may or may not be here So I'm going to name them anyway because I think it is important that we recognize how many people were involved. There were over 50 people who gave $10,000 or more to make this happen. And there were actually over 170 donors total who have contributed to this facility. It's been a magnificent show of support. Okay, so I'm going to begin by asking Will Bernhagen to come forward. Will Bernhagen gave to the football locker room, so as you toured around, he gave a substantial challenge to his classmates, 75 of whom matched his significant contribution. Dennis Ginger. Jim and Modine McCullough, come forward. As I recently mentioned, they were one of our first visits. They've become dear friends to Darren, my husband, and I, and just very special people who also contributed to the McCullough Foyer. Modine was a Jimmy Jane, so she said, "It's best that I support athletics." Okay. And then I would ask that the Newman family all come forward. We have one for each of you and your mother. Thank you, Mary. Okay. Next, we have Stephen and Kathy Beets. They gave to the Beets Concourse, the Athletes Concourse. And Jim Johnson. Jim Johnson gave to all those banners out there. He gave to the Center of Excellence in Athletics, all representing our our history of conference championships. And the estate of Carol Stout is Dick Stout here? We weren't sure if Dick was going to be able to make it. So we thank them and the estate of Rosemary Ryland. Oh, Dick is here. Thank you, Dick. And the Stouts gave to the R.M. Stout Coaches Concourse. Okay. Now I will continue on. Claire and Marcella Baker. And if you haven't seen, Claire and Marcella Baker gave to the Fan Zone. And as Bryn said, they are special people. They are grandma and grandpa to our students. They are so special. Dr. Shirley Branning and Roger Branning, they gave a medallion on the outside, which, by the way, there are still 2 left if somebody's interested. Thank you both. And I remember the day they walked in because Roger is very proud of family farms, and so he lets people know that, and he was reminding us of that day. Alan Berg and Susan Hansen, they gave to the Berg Plaza. And that's already going to get used next weekend. Doctors Merle and Peggy Foss, and they gave to the wrestling room. And Dr. Joida Hansen, who gave in multiple ways to this arena. She gave to the women's locker room, and she supported these 2 observation areas in honor of her mom and dad. Farmers Union Insurance and First Community Credit Union. They are the reason we have that scoreboard. And it is amazing. Thank you both so much for going together on that. Al and Jenny Lindberg and John Lindberg, they gave to the Booster Club room. They were one of our first to give as well. Ed and Elaine Nafis. And they gave in multiple ways as well, but Ed named the men's basketball locker room and challenged us to put together a task force to raise support for the locker room, and 25, I think, lockers are currently named. Okay? And Leo and Carrie Ness have been up to receive theirs, but I do want to recognize that they too gave a medallion outside, so I thank you very much for that. Okay? Now, the next group of donors, many of these gave to the tiles that are out here. So I'm going to speed it up and ask you to just come forward as we go through this. First, Bank Insure Invest Tax Forward. Charlotte Bellin, and I don't think she's got a representative here today, but we thank Charlotte. Scott and Shannon Bintz. Steve and Tammy Bromberger. Are they coming? I did see Steve and Tammy. Are they in the back? Oh, there they're coming. Okay. Dakota Bank. They gave to the lounge, the concession lounge. We're very grateful to them as well. Dakota Central. Dwayne and Kathy Ensminger. The Fairfield Inn and Pace Lodging, they are supporting our media boards. Wayne and Vera Falgater. Tessa Gould. Dick and Janelle Hall. Ken and Barbara Hallgrimson. Hillerud Construction, who played a major role in this facility. Oh, I see Fairfield is here, huh? IDK Bar and Grill. Kurt and Beverly Jacobson came all the way from Washington to see us. John Jensen. Kevin and Becky Knodel. Tina Lawrence. Slow down? Okay. I am too far ahead. Just keep going. The estate of Deborah Melland. Deborah was a student here and a lover of music. And so her family gave a gift to support the sound system here. The Don Neerling Memorial Foundation, they are not here, but they gave to support technology in the arena. Darren and Barb Orr. Darren, my husband Darren Peterson. And Muriel Peterson, who could not be here today, but she supported a lounge as well, the one around the corner. Bob and Jacinta Piatz. Sanford Health. They helped the media board as well. Elmer Schindel. Wes Scow. Wes was a dear friend of Harold's. He gave to support a tile. Todd and Shelley Steinwan. Jamie Stout family, and I don't know if Jamie is here. If not, if Dick would get it for Jamie. Unison Bank. Thank you, Kelly. And Mark and Cheryl Wolf. We also would like to thank the architects, Icon. If you can come forward, we have a gift for you. And J.E. Dunn. Our contractor on this facility was J.E. Dunn. And they did a magnificent job on this facility, a magnificent job. They lived here pretty much for the last year and a half, and became like family. It is because of them that this facility is as pristine as it is. And the man that's coming forward on behalf of them, his name is Brad Lundberg. and he became Jimmy family. He really did. So by the end, I said, "Are you going to miss us?" And he laughed, and he said, "Not really." But he does, because he came back. Thank you, Brad. We really appreciate all that you did. And lastly, one other person I would like to thank is Tom Heck. Tom has built about 3/4 of the buildings on this campus, and he's done that beautifully. And this facility would not be what it is without the work that he did. He is exceptional and special. So Tom, I have a plaque for you as well. Okay, I think we've gotten to the end. All right, so I think that is the getting near the end of you having to listen to me anyway. Again, I want to thank you all so much for your significant contributions to making this possible. Today is one of the most special days I can ever remember on our campus. So I'm going to turn it over to Sean to close.
It's my pleasure to introduce one of the newest staff members here at the University of Jamestown, just a tremendous addition to our institution, our chaplain, Dr. Candace Adams.
Would you please pray with me? God, we have gathered this day to dedicate this space to your glory. Giver of all good gifts, we thank you for everyone who has generously given to make the Harold Newman Arena a reality. The University of Jamestown is blessed by the sacrifices and commitment to excellence that individuals, families, and businesses have made. Creator God, you have blessed so many individuals with gifts and talents to design and construct this amazing facility. We thank you for the protection that was granted to the workforce who completed this project. God, we pray that this space is used for athletic competitions, that you alone are glorified. We celebrate the skills that will be displayed through athletic competitions. We pray for the well-being of all who compete. May the coaches and athletic staff be blessed as they seek to support and develop well-rounded athletes. As the fans gather from both near and far, may they experience warmth and hospitality in this arena. May the fans celebrate the talents with which our athletes compete. God, our hearts are filled with gratitude as we dedicate the Harold Newman Arena to you. We thank you for the beauty of this facility and all that it adds to the University of Jamestown and to this community. And after this ceremony, we will partake of food, and may these gifts nourish and sustain us. Thank you, God, for the joy of this celebration, for we pray this all in your holy name. Amen.
Well, in closing, I would just like to add, this is my 34th year in college athletics, and this is just the second time I've gotten to do this, but not on this scale. I would say the one thing you should take away from this day is, and I know a lot of you know this already, this is a special place with special people. This doesn't happen everywhere. Like Polly said, she's traveled all over the upper Midwest and been in a lot of facilities, and so on. So have I. There's nothing like this. This is a special place and a special school with special people. Thank you for being here today. Go Jimmies. One thing I want to mention real quickly, all members of the Board of Trustees, the Cabinet, and the donors, if you'll please come outside for pictures, and the rest of you, it's time to eat. Thanks for being here. Okay, wait a minute. No, time out. Time out. You got to sit back down 1 minute. I forgot one thing. My apologies. It was going so well. Okay, we have a special treat before you go. I don't know who's actually doing this, so I'm kind of curious to see who's going to stand up and lead us in this. So we're going to sing the Jimmy Fight song. And from what I understand, there's certain members of the Board of Trustees that are going to lead this, and they're coming up right now. So this is going to be really good. And after this, we're going to ring the bell.
I'm Clark Wold, and I'm on the Board of Trustees. And I'm Mark Wolf, also. Please stand. Now, you should know this song, but I wasn't sure I did, so I have the words in front of me. And a couple things. If you can't be good, be loud. Really loud. And I'm going to have another, some of us are going to have another little issue. I'm used to singing Cheers for Jamestown College. It's Cheers for Jamestown Jimmies. So I'm going to try and get that right. So if you would join us. Cheer for Jamestown Jimmies, fight for victory. To our colors, orange and black, we pledge our loyalty. When the battle's hardest, we'll come crashing through. J-I-M-E-I-E-S-O, Jimmies, Jimmies, here's to you. Come on, gang, let's see what we can do. Let's take Dakota State down a notch or two. Fight, fight, rah, rah, rah. Cheer for Jamestown Jimmies, fight for victory. To our colors, orange and black, we pledge our loyalty. When the battle's hardest, we'll come crashing through. J-I-M-E-I-E-S-O, Jimmies, Jimmies, here's to you.